and welcome to the Reflection Show with me, Martha and Abida. I believe that a lot of us have houses, or we want to build houses, or probably seen a construction that have gone wrong, and we are wondering, how did they do it? Where is the architect? Where is the mason? Where is the foreman, or anybody involved in building? Today, I'll be speaking with a professional architect who will be helping us to understand some of the mistakes we make when we are building and what we can do better. I'll be speaking with Mrs. Joyce Dama. She's the CEO of Abstract Properties here in Tamale, for the whole Ghana and the whole world. So if you want anyone for consultation or to actually do your work for you, she is the best person. And you know why I'm happy? Because she is a woman. This year we've been advocating and campaigning for the TVET agenda, and she's gone on and on in her study, and she's a big woman. She'll be giving us the right education and information that we need about how to build the right houses in the right way. My name is Martha Anabila. Let's go for a break. When we are back, we go straight into the discussion. Stay tuned. Welcome back from the break. It's still the Reflection Show with me, Martha. Auntie Joyce, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. After a long run, finally. Yes. We want to look at who an architect is. Then we'll come back. But when we talk about an architect, who is an architect?
Okay, so let me be as visual as possible, because architects we usually are.
Yes.
So let me use you as an example. I know you have a dream. You have a dream of the kind of house you want. So maybe you want a 5-bedroom apartment, story building, with perched on a hill somewhere, with some what's the name? Infinity pool, hanging at some point and all of that. Everybody has a dream, right? Now, the architect is the one who takes what you dream of or what you envision and then puts it into a plan.
Okay.
So the architect plans. The architect also oversees the plan that he or she has put together, so that it becomes exactly what you envisaged in body. That is the job of
the architect. So I can just walk to architect and say, I want a house. Like I can, once I'm describing, you are having it in your mind.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So once you describe what you want, we try as much as possible to envisage what is in your mind and then place it on a screen. Now it's no more paper.
Yes.
So on a screen, which will now translate onto a paper.
You can even enter the house. You can find a way, enter the house and see all the features. It's not yet built.
Exactly.
Wow. Are there different types or forms of an architect, or what we know is the one that will just come and build the house for us?
So an architect is a designer. An architect is also a planner. So of anything that concerns a building. So you can have an architect who is an interior designer. You can have an architect who is a landscape designer. So when we say landscape designer, we have soft landscaping, we have hard landscaping. What we have here, so soft landscaping is your plants, and then other things. Your soft landscaping is for, let me be as basic as possible, your paving, your hard spaces. So you can have a landscape architect. We even have furniture architects. They design special furniture for spaces. Yes. So an architect is much more than just the building. It encompasses, the work of the architect encompasses a lot of the things that happen within the building, apart from the structure itself.
Wow, wow, wow. Now, to the main component. When I want to build a house, maybe I have in mind, I have the money. Sometimes just that people just go and see a land and they will just call mold blocks and start building. When I want to build a house, what is the first thing I have to look out for?
All right, so if you want to build
Professionally, legally, and the right way.
So most people build on land. So let
Yes.
me use land.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, other places people
People build on the sea.
Hey,
People build under the
ground.
sea.
Wow.
So
Let's come to our level.
to the land, right?
Yes.
So
Building on the land.
Building on land. Let me take a quote from the Bible. It says that, is there somebody who wants to build? He first sits down to calculate the cost, right? So before you build, of course, you need to acquire your land.
Yeah.
Legally, you are supposed to have registered your land, right? I'm being very legalistic,
Yes,
so
yes,
like
please,
you asked
yeah.
me, so you are supposed to have registered your land, and then you plan. The first thing, you have to get a very good plan, a very good design, which you would want to put up.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
And to get that plan, I need an architect.
To get that plan, you need to get a professional.
Okay, professional architect.
To do. So, in fact, the professional will depend on what type of building. The architect will do the design. If your building is intricate, complex, a story, depends on the building. You may need a structural engineer to do the structural design of the building. You may need a services. It depends on the type of building you want to put up. But ultimately, you need to plan for your building. You need to get a good plan, which you are comfortable with before you can put up the building. There are other things you also have to consider. Most people start building without looking at the type of land or the type of soil they are building on.
That one too.
It's very actually you're supposed to do a geological
we
survey.
learned loamy soil, sandy soil,
yes.
those soils,
and all of those have bearing capacities.
Wow.
And so it's like clay can take so much weight when it's dry, but when it rains, you know it begins to it becomes soft. So if you put a structure on a clay land, imagine the weight of the structure. Without a good foundation, the building will begin to sink. In fact, the building may begin to crack because of the clay beneath it. So you need to consider the type of soil you are building on. That should be able to help you to determine the type of foundation you would need to carry the building. In fact, it is possible to build whatever type of building you want on any soil, but what will help you not to have a cracked building or a collapsed building is that you would have worked on a good foundation, irrespective of the type
the
of soil that you
foundation,
have.
of course, we said the foundation of everything in life is important.
Yes.
So the kind of foundation you put under your building determines.
Extremely essential.
Sometimes we just see that somebody they'll be like, oh, sorry, building has fallen. We've had some even churches and even shopping malls had fallen. What could have been the cause? Is it that they didn't add?
So there are many causes why buildings collapse. It's not only foundations. The foundation can have it can be good, right? However, sometimes the type of materials that are used to do the construction, the person can actually even obtain the good materials for construction, but the mixture of the materials may be wrong. So you need a good artisan who understands the work, understands mixtures, to be able to put up the structure. So all along the way, you need a professional, because putting up a building is capital intensive. You know, it's very expensive building nowadays. So you need to find a professional all along the way. so that you do the right thing. So there are many, many reasons why a building collapses. So your mixture, like I mentioned, the type of materials that you use, the type of artisans the skill of the artisans that you use, lots of things.
So now to my big question: architects, quantity surveyors, foremen, masons. Then I think that's what I can run for now. What what is the connection between all of these people?
All right, so the building team is made up of so many people. You have the designer, who is usually the architect, who sometimes lead the construction team, or a project man. If it's a big project, a project manager can be appointed. The architect sometimes doubles also as the project manager. So you have the architect, you have the structural engineer, you have the quantity surveyor, you also have the quantity surveyor. Again, let me be very basic. So the quantity surveyor, after the design is done, he one of the works of the quantity surveyor, or one of the functions of the quantity surveyor, is to take the work, and maybe if I have a wall of maybe 6 meters, what goes into the wall? What are the constituents? So what materials, and what are the various quantities of materials that will go into that wall? So he extracts them, quantifies them, costs them, and then that helps you in your planning. That also helps you in cost control when you are putting up the structure.
Wow.
Yes. So that's one of the functions of the quantity surveyor. The foreman, we said, the foreman is so when you go to site, you have a group of workers. The foreman is like the head of the workers, right? So he looks after all the other artisans who are there, coordinates their activities and all that. The mason is the one who puts brick on top of the other to form whatever it is that you have. So those are the three people you mentioned. That's the differences between.
Now let's be basic again. Ghanaians, people, we usually say that we don't have enough money to build. What are some of the common mistakes that you have seen us make that have caused? Is like during the rainy season, we see a lot of areas that are flooded, and I'm like, but why are they still? And when you even go there, people are even now putting new buildings there. What are some of the mistakes that we are making as a people, as Ghanaians, in making sure that our buildings do not collapse and not at flooding areas, or like so that we don't have our structures in a very bad state?
Okay, so I think I've mentioned some of the reasons why we have those issues. I can't say it enough. Get a professional, because once you get a professional, you don't only get the physical activity itself, you get consultancy, because the person will advise you on what to do, how to obtain permits, what are the requirements for obtaining permits and all of that. And so the person will guide you to do the right thing, so that you don't get a problem sometime later on. The other thing also, when you mention flooding, the other thing that for me is very rampant nowadays is the fact that we don't plan our communities well. We have the planners who, they've divided the land, done everything well, apportioned everything well, but we don't put drains in our communities. Even if there are drains in the choked. They are choked. Even if there are drains,
there's
they are
some
choked.
gutter being Tamale here. It's all
the
time.
They are choked with sand, choked with all sorts of rubbish. Choked with everything. And when it rains, this is one of the major reasons why there is flooding. Another thing also very common is that first, when somebody builds, he puts up the building within a good amount of space within the land. Then he does very little hard landscaping, like I mentioned. So the paving is quite a little. Most of the space is soft landscaping, greens. all around, so that the hard landscaping is just for the walkways.
Okay.
Now that is not the case.
Okay.
Now people tile their compounds. And so when it rains, the rain doesn't seep into the ground. The rain all washes out.
And there are no gutters or
No gutters.
drains to let the water go.
Exactly.
So now it goes into our
So
rooms.
everyone is trying to extract water out of their houses because we've all paved our compounds. You know, we are trying to be modern, but it's at a very high price. Yes, so there are many reasons why those things happen. And like I said, if you get a professional, the person would advise you, even if you want to do a lot of tiling within the space, there should be green spaces that would absorb some of the rain, some of the water that comes into the space. Yes.
I'm learning so many things today. I believe when I'm ready to build my house, I won't make some of these mistakes. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back.
Books by Pastor A.L. Fant. They are inspired by the Holy Spirit, simple to comprehend, relevant in application, and so lovely to read. Grab copies like Dynamics of Kingdom Influence, Dynamics of Ministry, Mark is King for Church Workers, Money Matters, and she calls herself a woman. This marriage must work. No more curses. Loaded mouth. Secrets of Kingdom Dominion. The exploits of service. Things fall apart. Church without bleeding pulpit. Singles mingle, and many more.
Welcome back from the break with me, Martha, and Abila. Today we are looking at everything building and construction, and how to make sure that our houses, our offices, or any structure at all do not fall off while we are building, or even just after we have finished building, and we can have proper drainage systems. My hair and makeup is by Endem's Beauty Salon here in Tamale. You can get their contact on your screen. We are recording here at the SWAT International Kitchen and Bar here in Tamale. They have, in fact, plenty dishes: Chinese dishes, Ghanaian dishes, intercontinental dishes. You can get their contacts on your screen as well. Get in touch with them when you have parties or any kind of get together and you want to come here. They are open for you to come and have come and have fun with your friends and family. Yeah, and you see, it's a beautiful environment. I think that I'll have to come here all the time for the reflection show, and of course if you want to chill as well. I'm still talking with Auntie Joy. So if you are out there who is watching this episode and you want the best person or the right person to come for your building, so you have that big contract, senior high school's contract, your church contracts, you should see that the church building she has done for our church, Wind and Fire. If you know our church, you should know that it's a big place, or anything that you want to build, just get in touch with her. And not just in Ghana, anywhere in the world. I'll be in international. This time you can do virtual consultation, virtual drawing.
Let me do a disclaimer. We are not supposed to advertise.
Oh, you are not advertising. I'm doing it for her. Please, I beg you.
So, GIA, Ghana is Architects. I'm not advertising.
Please, she's not advertising. I'm doing it for her because In fact, the interview alone, in fact, on a normal circumstance, I should be paying her some millions of dollars to do this interview for me. But we like the information you are giving, and personally, it's a great information. Now, does the location, or yes, the location of the land determine what I should build? So maybe let me use Tamale for instance. If I have a land, let's say at the airport area, does it determine the kind of building or structure I have to have there and all of that?
Okay, so usually when you buy a land, there is already a function attached to the land.
Okay.
There's a land use assigned already. So you buy a land, it can be for residential purposes already.
Okay.
Yes.
So you can't buy residential land to go and build a hotel.
So then you have to apply for change in use of the land.
Relax. So if I can buy a land anywhere.
You can buy a land.
But if it already has an attached use and I want to change it, how to apply to who?
So just a minute. When you are the town and country planning department usually do what we call when you go and buy a land, they give you what they call the site plan.
Yes.
Right? There is a master plan from which that site plan is extracted.
Okay.
For you. And that master plan, it's the whole area has been planned with markets, residential spaces, commercial spaces, and all of that. So when you buy a land, it could be one of those uses. So if you buy a plot, you should be sure what that plot is supposed to be used for. So you find bars in the midst of residential spaces, and then there's a fight with the whole area because in the night they want to jam, but that is not the purpose of the land. So it depends on what the land is supposed to be used for, and it depends on what you want to use the land for. We have lands, we have buildings that can be residential. We have some that can be mixed use.
Okay.
When we say mixed use,
that's the one we know.
which one is that?
Mixed use. You just buy, build anything. You come and
So mixed use is not that one.
not the mixed use we know. Okay.
So mixed use, let's say you have a land, you maybe by the roadside. The frontage of the land is shops. Then the back house is residential.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So the house is a mixed use facility.
Okay.
It's for commercial purposes and then it's for residential purposes as well.
Okay.
So that's a mixed use. Then we have commercial lands for commercial purposes. So banks, markets, office buildings, etc. Then we have other purposes like what's the name, military installations, and then all of that. So there are various uses for land. Yes.
In Tamale, we see a lot of fuel stations everywhere. As an architect and a designer, are they at the appropriate places?
So now I'm going to be speaking for the planners. So like I mentioned early on, every land has its use, right? And if you want to change the use of the land, you apply for a change in use. Now the person who gives the approval for the change in use will determine whether it is appropriate or not. However, there are, common things you can look at. So having a filling station back to back in a residential area, we know it's not safe. It's very dangerous. So there are some things that are considered before a change in use application is granted. Yeah. So it depends. It depends on a lot of things. But then it shouldn't be too close to a residential area. That alone is dangerous.
So at the markets, it's like everybody just gets up and go and put their small table or their small container and they are selling. Which I don't know whether I'm deviating a bit or what. Is it the which department? I know that architects are supposed to, but so I know that it's the government or that kind of thing who are in charge of some of those things, like the town and country planning, etc. Can an architect, I don't know whether I should say, can you go on your own to go and do some of these demarcations for them? Because like we have architects in our country, we still see some of these things. So is it that they have to call you? So like when you see a problem as an architect, how do you feel? How do you approach the problem? Do you just go and
So let me go to the first example you give.
yeah,
It's not the job of architects
okay,
to go to
plan the
town.
yeah.
If you are talking about planning, we have planners,
Okay.
actual planners who work with town and country planning, work with the survey department. They do so. We have surveyors who survey the land, the planners plan the land, and then the architects deal with the spaces, the design of the various spaces, or the design of the lands. If it's market issues and then where who puts what, that comes to the district assembly or the metropolitan assembly or whichever assembly is supposed to deal with those issues. So the functions are very different.
Wow.
Unless the assembly identifies a problem, then decides to bring in the planners to correct the problem or an architect to deal with the configuration of the spaces, then the job of the architect comes in.
How do I identify a correct product? You're not mentioning names, somebody's advertising me, but you mentioned that sometimes the mixing of the product can, if it's not mixed well and used in the right proportion, can cause the building not to last. Whose job is it? We hear that they have sometimes people inflate prices, so we need this amount of money to buy these things, and they are not used. Is it sometimes that they are not mixed well, or the quality of products are not the like gotten to use for the project?
All right, so I'll try to be civil about the whole thing. If there are different brands of products, the quality, even in buying drugs, you can get painkiller for 100 Ghana. You can get painkiller for 2 Ghana or even 50 pesos.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything depends on the efficacy and the brand name, right? They may work, but the 100 Ghana painkiller may give you much quicker relief or may dial down the pain in a certain way that the 1 Ghana cannot. Yes. In the same way, there are different types of products. If you pick a product that is cheaper, it means that your mixture has to be extremely good. Extremely good.
So why are architects so expensive? We charge us too much.
Okay, so were you raw or you were civil? So that I'll know which way to go.
Answer all. Answer all. Why do you charge us too much?
We don't charge too much. No, we don't. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
A client came to me a couple of years back, and he wanted me to come to look and take a look at his building. Right? He didn't use an architect, and it was a lifetime building, and there was so much mistakes in the building. It cost him almost double for us to correct those mistakes.
So who did they use if not an architect?
I don't know who he got the drawings from, right? I don't know. I think he told me he spoke to a mason and then they decided to do something. but I don't know where they got the drawings from. Like I said, buildings are expensive. You have somebody who will come to you and tell you that, oh, I want 5 bedrooms, I want 2 garages, I want 3 carports, I want a swimming pool, I want
an
this,
office.
I want an office, I want this, you know, and you finish
a prayer room.
I don't have money. Oh.
Wow.
So the person who wants all of these things is not going to build it out of air. He's going to buy tiles, very expensive Italian tiles.
And the washrooms are going to be
But the person who is designing what you are dreaming of is relatively expensive. The one who will bring your dream into fruition becomes expensive. I think sometimes it's an unfair comment, you know, to say that architects are expensive. But that's on one side. I think you are paying for the knowledge.
Okay.
You are paying for the knowledge that the person has. When an architect designs for you, he doesn't only put spaces, or she doesn't put spaces together only. The architect looks at what we call functional relationship. So how does this space affect this space? How does the function of this space impede this space or enhance this space? There's a lot that goes on when you are planning any space, right? How do we help you to reduce your electricity bill? So that we don't design a room that always needs light. We don't design a corridor that always needs light. And so even during the day, you have to keep your lights on.
So you determine if it's the bedroom, should the kitchen be by this room or
so
the
we
kitchen?
even look at wind direction, so that you are not frying Kobe in your kitchen, and then your visitors are in the hall, and then Kobe is blowing towards your visitors. So there are so many things that go into planning for a space. It's not just slapping bedroom against hall, and that is not it. There is so much that goes on. So at the end of the day, the lifetime cost of the building is saved. Because if you have a building where every day you have to be paying electricity bills very high, during the day your corridors are dark, some of the rooms are dark, your lights constantly have to be on, it means over the lifespan of the building, you have a high cost. So between using a professional architect and using somebody who has no idea what the consequences are if I put this against this, you know, so you are paying lifetime cost as against a one-time cost. Which one would you select?
I saw a short video about a guy who went to an architect. She was a lady to go, and he went and he was talking, and just like he said, she thought it was one of those who come and talk and say, I don't have money. Then the gentleman finished talking, and she was like, oh, I have other for you, go and come. Then he just opened his bag, or I just brought like a bundle of dollars that think about it, draw the plan of what you have heard me see, and get back to me. The architect was happy, and then she was like, the kind of clients she's looking for.
That's not common.
Yes.
That is why the architect was happy. You see, it's good to feel understood and appreciated, because the knowledge.
Even the first meeting, he's giving you money.
The brain, it's not even about the money. The person appreciates the brain power you are putting into his work. That is why people who sit in offices, excuse me to say, are paid more than the laborer. The laborer works harder with his muscles and body, but at the end of the day, he receives 40 cedis for his work. But the one in the office receives more. Why? Because he's using his brain
to direct even
those
you see.
He doesn't solve immediate problems. He's solving future problems in addition, and that is what the architect does. So it is not beyond line. It is not just lines against lines. No, there are lots of future problems the architect is solving whilst putting together your drawings for you. So we are highly underpaid.
Hey,
exactly.
So let me ask the question. I know you answer it, but let me just ask the question. You know the question I'm going to ask.
What is it? I don't know.
So on an average, if someone wants a 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, averagely, how much
There's
do you
no
charge?
average. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Because I can have a 2-bedroom that is costly
Than even
than
a
a
3-bedroom.
10-bedroom.
Wow.
It depends on what you put inside. It depends on the features
Ah.
of it. So if you ask me on an average,
You'll be able
who
to
is the average? So it depends on what's the building.
So I can come and I want a 2-bedroom house,
The-
and you
the
charge
cost
me
will be
differently
different
from somebody
another
who wants a
2-bedroom
2-bedroom
house.
Wow.
Because if you say 2-bedroom, somebody would want a carport, somebody would want a study,
pool, yeah,
somebody
study.
would want a swimming pool. So the brief is different. So the charges definitely are different.
Wow. Interesting. Our time is almost going. Let's just take a short break and we'll be back to wrap up on this session. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. I believe that you have learned a lot, you are learning a lot, and you begin to make the right decisions about your building. Auntie Joyce, so we've established that the kind of house determines the amount of money you are going to pay. So some of us that will want a study or want an office with maybe some war room inside our houses with a bit of swimming pool inside, then there's this thing I usually imagine that before you even enter my bedroom, you have a hall, a small hall before you enter my bedroom. So that, hey Charlie,
So you see, Martha lists all this. Then she'll come and say, Auntie Joyce, I don't have money. Oh. Meanwhile, she will build each and every single one of it.
Yes,
Oh?
yes, of course. Yeah, because before you enter my room, and even my room, there will be a small room that is only the clothes. When you enter my room, you might not
A
see my
walk-in
clothes.
closet. A walk-in
Yes,
closet.
a closet. You won't come and see my shoes and no. Everything is inside that small room there. And if it's my kitchen, I have a storeroom for the kitchen. And hey,
It's another.
you see how I'm dreaming. I have to just put it down for me one day. So before we went into you talked about different types of architects. Some have their specialty. So can one architect build the house, do the designs, like have the chairs, the colors? I like your colors, Auntie. Like how you put the colors, the chairs, like it's like you like you said, you imagine everything the person wants, and at the end of the day, you finish the thing. Can one architect do all of that, or you have to look for different people to do that?
So it depends on the interest. Generally, architects are trained in bits and pieces of everything. So you are taught interior design in school. You are taught colors. You are taught a lot of things in school. So an architect can do that. But if you want specialty, there are architects who have specialized in certain portions. I think one of the specializations that skipped my mind was models.
Okay.
So if you finish a building, mostly commercial buildings, they want to commission them, they do what we call a model. So it's like a life-size depiction of how the building is going to look like. A miniature size, depiction of how the building is going to look like anyway, So yes, there are different types of architects. An architect can furnish your space for you, can do the structure. You can get that, but if you want also detailing, you can also get those who are specialized in certain areas.
Your final words in summary about everything that we've spoken about today. What should we know? Tell us, what should we know about buildings, finishing, etc., so that we don't make some of the mistakes that we highlighted today?
Okay. So the first thing I would say is get a professional. I can't say it enough. Get a professional. It saves you cost. It saves you a lot of headache, because like I mentioned early on, there is a lifetime cost to every building. You want to have a high lifetime cost, or you want to have a very small and affordable lifetime cost. That depends on who you select to do your design and construction for you. So let's do the right thing. Let's get the professionals, work with them. It looks expensive, but it saves you a lot for the future. Thank you very much.
It saves you a lot for the before, like you said, somebody will just put their money in there. Later on, you see that you have to now go back
Yes.
and go and correct the whole thing.
And it's very expensive
to correct.
correcting. It's very expensive correcting than doing the whole thing afresh. Yes.
Wow.
And
that could do like 2 more houses.
It can be very depressing.
Yes.
This client I spoke about, it was weighing on him a lot because it was a big building and we had to do some demolition. Yes, so don't waste the money. Don't waste the money. Pick a professional, do the right thing.
WhatsApp me, I'll give you Auntie Joyce's number. I'm doing this for her. She's not doing
I can't talk.
She can't talk. I'm doing this for her because if I can't pay her for this interview, at least I should be able to get her some clients. Like, oh, after going on Martha's show, I got this and this and this client. And thank you so much. My hair and makeup is by In-Depth Beauty Salon. And you see, like it's like today I'm a bit more relaxed because I'm at the SWAT International Kitchen and Bar here in Tamale. It's an amazing place. If for Omedi and a cry, I can't even mention some of the names because they are not Ghanaian dishes. So whether you are Ghanaian or not, or you are looking for intercontinental dishes that you want the best and you are coming to Tamale, don't let anyone tell you that there is no nice restaurant in Tamale. No, it's the SWAT International Kitchen and Bar in Tamale. Get in touch with them. Their contacts are on their screen, but I'll just quickly go through them again. 0244 712942, 020-451-2942, or just take our contact on the screen and we can give you their contact. If you are a team coming to Tamale for a workshop or a gathering, etc., is a SWAT International Kitchen and Bar that you have to come to for amazing, delicious delicacies in Tamale. I'm saying this because I'm putting that in Tamale there you don't have nice names. No, they are Charlie. If you have Auntie Joyce as an architect in Tamale, is the food that you will not get here in Tamale. We are still calling on partners and sponsors for the Reflection Show. 054-9578-512. Come and sponsor us. If you have been watching, you've been seeing us doing something, events happen advert. She's the same person. Another day she will come and tell us about what to expect when you are planning an event, weddings, outdoors especially, so that you don't spend so much, just want to please people and you end up running on debt. So she'll be back again, hopefully next time, to look at that as well. Thank you so much. And the Youth Empowerment Summit of the Martha Inspires Foundation, she's been part of the team organizing and making it look so beautiful. This year again, she's part of the team. So Auntie Joy is there, Charlie, she's my mother. So anytime you want her services, just contact me and I'll give you her contact for those amazing services. My name is Martha Anabila. Do have a good night.
Books by Pastor A.L. Fant. They are inspired by the Holy Spirit, simple to comprehend, relevant in application, and so lovely to read. Grab copies like Dynamics of Kingdom Influence, Dynamics of Ministry, Mark is King for Church Workers, Money Matters, and she calls herself a woman. This marriage must work. No more curses. Loaded mouth. Secrets of Kingdom Dominion. The exploits of service. Things fall apart. Church without bleeding pulpit. Singles mingle, and many more.